hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some freaking money. It's time for Puck It with Jo. Good morning, everyone, and happy Monday. It is March 3rd. Hard to believe we've already rolled into March. I hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. It's time for Puck It with Jo over here on SportsGrid, on SportsGrid TV, on X, and on YouTube. We've got 6 games out there on the ice. Now, yesterday's games just did not go as planned. We saw some dogs not barking out there. The Predators absolutely killed me. You guys know I was rolling with the Predators to pull off that upset win versus New York Rangers. Was uncertain how we'd see the Rangers come out with Riley Smith, a healthy scratch in that game, and some line adjustments. But the Predators just weren't able to get anything done out there. So some interesting games for sure. We've got a couple teams on a back-to-back here tonight, and a couple teams that will be looking at that back-to-back situation with games on deck for them tomorrow. Now, with these 6 games on the slate today, let's kick it off with the Ottawa Senators taking on the Washington Capitals. Puck will drop at 6:40 Eastern on this one. Total 5.5, minus 104 to the under. We've got the Ottawa Senators on the road here at plus 126, minus 152 for the Caps. Now, Brady Tkachuk is back in the lineup as well as Josh Norris for the Ottawa Senators. They were impactful over the weekend, with the Ottawa Senators getting a nice big win, 5-3 over the San Jose Sharks. That was a Saturday matchup out there. Now, Allmark is expected in goal tonight for the Ottawa Senators. And looking at the Washington Capitals, well, they've been a little flat as of late. They lost that last game to the Tampa Bay Lightning 3-1. Ovi was still able to get a goal in that one on Andre Vasilevskiy, which I was kind of surprised by because Andre Vasilevskiy's absolutely been standing on his head for Tampa. So Tampa will be in action today. We'll be talking about that one. That's a great matchup with the Florida Panthers. But getting back here to the Washington Capitals, we're looking at a team that has lost their last 3. Logan Thompson will be in goal tonight, and we know how hot he has been in goal. He's got a .919 save percentage, a 2.27 goals against average, going 25-4-5 on the season. Now, looking at both of these teams, the power plays are clicking out there. The Ottawa Senators power play is converting 23.3% of the time, while the Washington Capitals power play is at 23.7%. The kill is stronger here for the Caps, though. So the Ottawa Senators need to make sure they don't get in the box, because one thing we know about the Capitals is they can score in the power play. They're strong on the kill, and they also can score on that kill. So Ottawa has to be very careful out there to play a clean game. Will they be able to, will be the question. Now, their schedule, they're at the Blackhawks on Wednesday, sitting 5th in the Atlantic. And the Washington Capitals here, one-off road game on Wednesday versus the Rangers. They're sitting first and comfortable here in the Metro. They're going to want to turn things around, though. They don't want to take another loss. Now, they have lost that last 4 first periods as a home favorite. So if you're wanting a better line here on the Washington Capitals, because it's just too juicy as it is right now on that money line, you could see if Ottawa is able to score first, but I'm not sure if they're going to be able to, you guys, on Logan Thompson here. So just something to note that we have seen the Caps struggle in that first period to get those wins at home over those last 4. But the Ottawa Senators, I do think it's going to be a hard game for them to put those goals up. We look at that last game, and yes, they were able to score 5 on the San Jose Sharks, but they were held to under 3 goals in their 4 games prior. And I do expect here for the Washington Capitals to really lock down on that defensive side of things coming out of this losing streak to be able to get the win. So if the Capitals win this, I really do think it's a 4-2 style win for the Washington Capitals. Could they win at 3-2? Absolutely, which means we don't want to lay that puck line. So what I did is I do have faith in Logan Thompson. I do have faith in the defense here of the Washington Capitals. I'm going to take the Senators team total. Now, why am I taking the Senators team total instead of the full total? Well, because I just don't know how many goals the Washington Capitals will be able to get in this game today. And if they put up those 4 goals, that will push us over that total of 5.5. And if they put up 3, then we're going to stay under it. So Ottawa, the team total is coming in at 2.5. I'm going to hit it to the under. That's coming in at -106. I do think they struggle to light the lamp. They've also struggled in Washington. Something to note, 7-21 in the last 28 meetings in Washington for the Ottawa Senators. We've also seen them go 8-20 in the last 28 meetings overall versus the Washington Capitals. Now, when we're looking at Ovi, because if we're talking the Caps, we got to talk Ovi here. Ovi did get a goal in that last game. He is just on fire. His anytime goal is at +110. I do think if he scores tonight, it is on that power play. So the power play point here for Ovi coming in at +180. I do like that power play point, and I would look at the power play point here for John Carlson as well. We know how strong he is at getting those assists, and I do think those goals are not going to be that easy to come by, but they will be able to come for Washington on that power play. So the power play point at +280 for John Carlson. When we look at Tom Wilson, though, for the Washington Capitals, he's been averaging a point per game with 6 goals and 4 assists in the last 10. So Tom Wilson, definitely someone you want to look at. Now, I don't know if I'd take him for the power play point tonight, but Tom Wilson for the regular points, -130. So I do think, even though it's juicy here at -130, you still can lay the -130 on Tom Wilson for the point, maybe parlay it somewhere. You could look at Tim Struzel on the other side, and I'm hesitant to take anyone here from the Ottawa Senators, but if you really did want to look at someone from Ottawa, Tim Struzel, his points -170, so out of range unless it's put into a parlay. His power play point, because we know it's a strong power play here for the Sens, but a really killer kill here for the Caps. So I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to touch anything with Tim Struzel, just giving you guys the trends on which players have been hot. We know Josh Norris and Brady Tkachuk in this lineup have been impactful coming back as well. But Tim Struzel's averaged over a point per game with 12 assists and 3 goals over the last 10. So Tim Struzel really has been stepping up. So if you like someone from Ottawa, if you think Ottawa is going to roll in and give the Caps another loss, Tim Struzel definitely should be making your card tonight. For me, I'm going to leave him off. I will look at Ovi for the power play point. I'll look at John Carlson for the power play point. Both of those guys getting you great plus money. Ovi at +180, John Carlson at +280, and then I'll look at Tom Wilson just for the regular point at -130. Now, if you just want to look at Ovi and Carlson for a point today, I do think we could see Ovi with the goal, Carlson for the assist. So parlaying the two of them for their point today is going to give you plus money as well. Okay. That is where we're going. A good morning, Kev. I hope you're having a wonderful start to your morning. You're leaning the over 4.5 for the Lightning. For the Lightning themselves, or for that full game with the Lightning and the Florida Panthers to that over 4.5. Let me know what you're going to do with that one. We're going to talk first the Islanders versus Rangers, Battle of New York here. Now, the Rangers let me down yesterday by getting that win. I had the Predators. I fully disclosed that, you guys. I told you it was an ugly dog. I thought I was crazy. I even looked at Alt laying 1.5 goals. So it cost me yesterday looking at the Preds. But looking at this battle here of New York with the Islanders versus the Rangers are a -115 favorite at home in Madison Square Garden, a place they played the Islanders really strong. The Islanders coming in at -102, total 5.5, -132 to the over, +108 to the under. When you look at the goaltending, you should see a lower scoring game, but something's telling me we're going to see the goals as these two teams get scrappy and chippy out there, and we see those penalties come into play. Sorokin in net for the Isles. Now, we know Sorokin and Igor Shesterkin are buddies, and they will be facing up against each other. Sorokin was able to record a goal in that last game, and how it turned out in that game versus the Predators. Sorokin was the last player to touch it from the Isles as he deflected a play out there. The puck went off, and then it actually touched the Predators' stick and then went into the net. So Sorokin able to record that goal. He was pretty excited for that to hit his records. Now the Islanders have won their last 2 games now with that win in that last game versus the Preds, 7-4. I still can't believe they allowed 4 goals and put up 7 goals in that matchup. But as soon as you throw a goalie scoring a goal into it, you got to think it was a weird day out there on the ice. Now, this is the first night of a back-to-back for the Isles. They do have the Jets on deck. They're not looking ahead, you guys. This is a battle in New York. They want to get the win over the Rangers. We did see the Rangers play last night, so second leg of a back-to-back. Jonathan Quick was in goal versus the Predators, recording that shutout 4-0. They have the Capitals at home on Wednesday. So battle of the Metro, 7th here for the Isles, 5th for the Rangers. Where are we going to go with this one? Well, I do think you just look at the over. I think this is kind of a coin flip both ways. I don't like the special teams out here for the Isles. I don't trust them on any given night. But one thing we've seen really holding true with these teams is when they get out there, those penalties come, those power play goals come, and we see these games trend to the over. 7-1 in the last 8 meetings to the over. And the over in New York, 4 of the last 5 have gone over that total. Now, we've seen the Rangers win the last 4 here in Madison Square Garden versus the Isles, and they won on February 25th as well, 5-1. So them single-handedly push this to, well, almost single-handedly push this to the over with scoring 5 goals. So I'm looking for that production. One thing you could look at here too, if you think it's going to be a 1-goal game, which I'm not sure it will be. It could be an overtime game, you guys, but we have seen the Isles lose that first period in their last 5 versus the Metro. So then you could come back in on the Isles plus 1.5 on the puck line and get that value. On the road this season, they have gone 16-14 on that puck line. Well, the Rangers at home have gone 11-19 on that puck line. So we should see a tighter game out here as the Rangers really haven't been blowing anyone out on the road at home. So that is one way you could go. I'm going to stick with the over, you guys. I think we've got those goals coming. I would look at Mika Zibanejad again here and Adam Fox. I really like Adam Fox for his point tonight for the New York Rangers. I think we're going to see those offensive defensemen step up. Kyle Palmieri has scored a goal in the last 5 of the last 6 for the Islanders. So Palmieri definitely has been running nice and hot. You could also look at a couple other playmakers here for the Isles. Let's just pull up some of those odds because I do think it's going over 5.5. The over 5.5 is at -132, you guys. I think you can look at JT Miller here for the Rangers. I love what we've been seeing out of him at home. So let's kind of build a couple of these players with their points. Now, we know Panarin, if he's in the game, then this Rangers team is having success. But Panarin for his points, -235. So you can't really hit it. But I would look at JT Miller and Mika Zibanejad there for their point together. You're parlaying both of those guys at +103 for a point. Now, on the other side for the New York Islanders, Anders Lee is always interesting for his point. I'm going to go with Palmieri again for a point. He's coming in at +100. And then I'm going to do it with Bo Horvat. So parlaying those two guys, Kyle Palmieri and Bo Horvat for the point. It's almost 2-1. It's +196. So that is where I would go in this one. If you want to look at those goals, Panarin's +170, JT Miller's +200, and Mika Zibanejad at +220. I do think all 3 of them have the ability to get on the board. When we look at Kyle Palmieri, he's +270, and then Bo Horvat at +190. Now, if you want to go to Adam Fox in this one, Adam Fox, I am not seeing him here. Let me just see what Adam Fox's status is. I'm not seeing him listed on FanDuel, you guys. I'm not seeing him out of this lineup, though, either. So I'll check back in on that one, see if we can get it. Matt Rempe, really interesting for that anytime goal. We know Rempe has been really scrappy out there. I do expect Rempe to spend a lot of time in that box today, so I wouldn't be looking at Rempe in this matchup. Okay, let's get going on this, you guys. We've got 4 more games to go over. The most exciting game of the night, I really do think, is going to be the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Florida Panthers. Just seeing all of your comments come in. Let's make some freaking money today, for sure. Yeah, let's go. Jamie, it is a good day. Jamal, it's a great day to make some money. Yeah, it's an awesome day so far. So let's get going, you guys. The Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Florida Panthers. Let me just pull up odds on this one over on FanDuel. Okay, so +130. This is interesting for the Tampa Bay Lightning. We're starting to see a little bit of movement in the lines. We see the Florida Panthers coming in at -156, total 5.5. Over 5.5 is -120. The under at -102. Now, I know when we look at this game, it is really tempting to jump on a total, but I'm going to stay off of it. except for the first period. You got Andrei Vasilevsky absolutely on fire as of late, but you've got a Tampa Bay team that has been scoring. Bobrovsky on the other side here for the Florida Panthers. I do think Bobrovsky can stand on his head. I'm looking for both of these teams to play a hard-checking game out there, but I have a fear of overtime. With the fear of overtime, I can't take this full game under 5.5 because I can see it being a game where we see those goals late in that third period. And then all of a sudden we've gone from a 2-1 style game to a 3-1 style game, or 3-2 style game to a 3-3 game, going to overtime with final seconds here, and then it going over the 5.5. So I can't touch the full game total. I am looking for these teams to come out killer strong in that first period, the under 1.5. If that doesn't happen, you guys, if we see 2 goals in the first period because one team lights the lamp, the other one lights it quick, I will be coming back in on the second period under 1.5 goals. So I do think at that point, if we see a high scoring first period, we'll see that low scoring second period. If we see the low scoring first period, I won't be shocked if we see 2 goals in that second period at all, but I won't be playing the under 1.5 or the over 1.5. I'm just going to stay off that second period, but I will play it if we go over in the first. So I do think either the first or the second goes under 1.5 goals. I will play the first period going under 1.5 goals at -106 coming into this game. I'm also, like I said, I do think this can go to overtime. This is a battle here of the Atlantic. The Florida Panthers looking to capture the Atlantic here. We know it's the reigning Stanley Cup champs, and they're sitting second at the moment. The Tampa Bay Lightning being on absolute fire because of Andrei Vasilevsky winning their last 8. Saturday's win was a 3-1 win versus the Washington Capitals in Washington. Now, the Florida Panthers have won their last 3-0 win over the Calgary Flames on Saturday. It's going to be a battle between these two. Now, we've seen advantage for the Florida Panthers winning 6 of the last 8 meetings between these two teams, but we did see the Tampa Bay Lightning win that last meeting 4-0, getting the shutout win. I don't think this is a shutout win for either of these teams. Overtime game here, under 1.5 in the first period, and if that doesn't hit, it will be the under 1.5 in the second period between these two. But also look here for the Florida Panthers to get the win. The problem here with the Florida Panthers to get the win is now we've lost the value on the Florida Panthers. They're coming in at -156. I don't like laying that kind of juice. I just can't get there. They were a -140 favorite coming into today. I was hoping that would drop a little bit as money came in on the Tampa Bay Lightning, but we're not seeing that happen. We're seeing that home advantage here, people coming in on the Florida Panthers, especially with how hot Tampa has been rolling. Who wants to step in front of Tampa, though? It's going to be a hard game for both of these teams. Expect these teams to score on that power play. That is where we're going to see success. Whichever team can be the least scrappy out there. Now, we did see the Florida Panthers add Seth Jarvis from the Chicago Blackhawks. This team is really, they're building, they're looking to make another run. They did put Matthew Tkachuk on the long-term injury reserve, opening up huge cap room. I think something major is happening. This is trade deadline week. We will see that trade deadline hit on Friday. Look for that movement, you guys. So it's going to be really interesting for what we're going to see out there. Yeah, Panthers, it's got to be Panthers money line for sure. Tampa, that puck line. Yeah, I do think it's a 1-goal game. So that's where you can look. If you do believe it's a 1-goal game with me here, if one team comes or goes up, coming back in on that other team, +1.5 on the puck line, because we're going to get some good lines right now. Right now, if you wanted to look at those puck lines, there's no value. -1.5 for the Florida Panthers is +158, but I don't think they win it by 1 or by 2 goals. And then the Tampa Bay Lightning +1.5, -196. So if Florida goes up first, you're going to get a great value on Tampa, +1.5 on that puck line. And if Tampa goes up first, you're going to get a really nice line on that money line for the Florida Panthers. Let's look at the Buffalo Sabres versus the Montreal Canadiens. Now, yes, we just did see this matchup on Saturday. Montreal got us that plus money. That's what we needed, you guys. Montreal was rolling in as the dog into Buffalo, and it still doesn't make sense to me why they made them the dog. This is a straight pick 'em in this -110 either way. Total of 6.5, -128 to the under, and I can't go under with these two teams. I do think we have a 4-3 style game. The last time they faced off on Saturday in Buffalo, it was 4 goals for Montreal, 2 for Buffalo. So it kept us under the total of 6.5, but I'm seeing a couple more goals in this one in Montreal. Sam Montembeault is in net here for the Montreal Canadiens, and like again coming in for the Buffalo Sabres. Now the Sabres have lost their last 2 games, and they've lost their last 4 road games as well. They've had those struggles out there on the road, but overall on the road, 12-15 this season. Montreal 17-14 at home. I'm sorry, that's against the spread. 15-12 and 4 at home. So, and 9-16-2 for the Buffalo Sabres. So we're seeing a Sabres team where this isn't a strong suit, but between these 2 teams, it has been the strong suit. That road team has been able to go 9-1 in the last 10. The underdog has cashed in 7 of the last 9 meetings as well, but the Sabres have gone 2-6 in the last 8 meetings versus the Montreal Canadiens. I do think we get that high-scoring first period, and that's exactly where I'm going to go with this game. The over 6-2 in the last 8 meetings in Montreal, but I'm looking for a 3-goal first period here. I love the over 1.5. So do the books. It's -140, so a lot of juice to lay there. Never what I want to do, but both teams to score in the first period. The Buffalo Sabres know they have to come out fast out of the gate if they have a chance versus Montreal and really rattle Sam Montembeault. So give me both teams to score in the first period at +148. I'm not worried about Montreal getting a goal early. I do think Montreal has every ability on their home ice. And then I'm going to parlay Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield. Parlaying Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield for a point tonight is coming in at -103. Now, I do think Cole Caulfield for the anytime goal, Patrick Laine as well for his points, his goal tonight, where's where you want to go. And for Buffalo, Tage Thompson, Alex Tuch will be my playmakers out there. You like Montreal money line and Cole Caulfield anytime goal. I do think it has every ability to hit. If Montreal wins this, you guys, I do think they cover that puck line. So looking at Montreal here on the puck line, -1.5 at +220. I think Montreal first period as well would be another strong look. Again, I think it's a 2-1 style first period, 3 goals in the first period, and Montreal coming out on top. So play around with that. We've seen Josh Anderson score in the last 3 games versus the Sabres for Montreal. So Josh Anderson, if you want to ride with that trend for him to come out nice and strong and get another goal, it would be a strong way to go. Let's look at the San Jose Sharks versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. The biggest dog on the card is the San Jose Sharks, and you know someone who loves dogs is myself. It is so tempting at +280 to look at the Sharks to pull off an upset, especially with how Toronto's been playing, which is great. Why do I want to fade Toronto when they're playing great? Because these are the games that Toronto doesn't show up for. Like, I don't know what happens to this team when they play teams at home in situations like this is when they lose. And then they wonder why they only have corporate fans and that the lower bowl has like no noise in it. It's because they're not impressing their fans when they're playing these games that everyone expects them to come in and really dominate. Now they're winning the games that, you know, we have less faith in, but they're not getting these kind of wins. So that total of 6.5. Now, if you don't think the Sharks can win this at +280, which I don't know if my money will get on the +280, I've already looked at a couple of different things. Georgiev in goal for the San Jose Sharks. That is terrifying enough, let alone this being just the San Jose Sharks out here on the road. The Sharks on the road have gone 6-19-7 this season, and Toronto at home is 20-11. So not stellar numbers here for Toronto at home. They still being solid. That puck line at home, 16-15. The puck line on the road, though, for the San Jose Sharks, strong 20-12. So you can play around with those puck lines if you want. Stolarz is expected here for the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight. Now, his last game versus the Sharks, he allowed 3 goals on 22 shots. So Stolarz, while he has great numbers versus the Sharks in his career, he has had a couple of really games where he's given up those goals. Now, the Sharks should be hungry in this one. They've lost their last 8. They've been playing terrible. We have Toronto on the second night of a back-to-back. This is a one-off home game. So they played 4 out on the road. They're home for this one, and then they're not home on Wednesday versus Vegas. They are in the Fortress on Wednesday. I hate the scheduling spot for Toronto. I think this is a really hard spot for them in this one, and I think because of that, you got to look at least at the goals for the San Jose Sharks. While I could see Toronto still pulling off the win. I do think you look at the Sharks team total over 2.5 goals. The Sharks to score 3 goals in this game is coming in at plus 130. That's all we need, you guys. We're getting plus money. They don't have to win it. Look for even Toronto to win that one 4-3, right? We just need 3 goals out of the Sharks. I don't care. And if they win, they win. We're still getting plus 130 here. I won't be greedy in this one. I'm going to look at a player, though, and we're going to be kind of greedy with him for the Sharks. But I would also look at the first period over 1.5 goals. The problem with that over 1.5 goals, the books have it juicy at minus 146. We don't want to bet that. Well, at least I don't. You guys can make your decision on how much juice tolerance you have out there. But both teams to score in the first period at plus 158. We know Toronto is a strong team. They've got all the playmakers. William Nylander, I think, is going to have a big day. I do think the goals are coming in bunches by both of these teams because Georgiev and net for the Sharks. So look for the Sharks to at least get 3 goals. Look for that first period to be high scoring. Could we get 5 goals in the first period? Absolutely. And both teams to score at plus 158. We're more than likely just going to get those 2 goals in the first. So don't bet the first period over 4.5 or something insane like that. But look at some players here for the Sharks. I do think William Nylander will get those points on the board for Toronto tonight. I love him. But I'm going to roll with some Sharks players. Celebrini for 2+ points. I'm going to get greedy with Celebrini here. I love what we're seeing out of him. He's coming in at plus 360 for 2+ points. I also think looking at Will Smith for the point tonight at plus 128. He's scored a goal in each of the Sharks' last 2 games, so Will Smith has been playing hot. And then we know Tyler Toffoli leads the Sharks with 22 goals this season. He's got 165 shots on goal as well. And I do think he would be one of the players who could hit Stallars. So looking at Toffoli for his goal, Celebrini for 2+ points, Will Smith for a point tonight is a great way to go. If you like the Sharks team total over 2.5, if you don't like the Sharks team total over 2.5, then don't take these players. Just look at William Nylander. Nylander you will have to take for 2+ points unless you want to parlay him with some other players on his lines for those points tonight. But I do think Nylander can get 2 points in this one. Yeah, exactly, Timothy. Which Leafs team shows up? The Leafs team that shows up tonight definitely is the one that is coming home from a 4-game road trip and then has Vegas on deck on Wednesday, and now they're facing the worst team in the Pacific. That's the Leafs team we're going to get. That's why the fans never get excited to see them play. So team total over 2.5. Yeah, I do think, and Toronto, you're right. Toronto can win this 5-3, right? We're still getting that plus money on the Sharks to go over 2.5. So I like it, you guys. I'm not going to get greedy on the Sharks on the money line. If they win this tonight as a plus 280 dog, I will be happy for the Sharks and happy for, well, I don't know. I love seeing Toronto lose sometimes, you guys. So I hate to say that. I don't even know why. I have nothing against Toronto. It's not like they're in the Pacific here with my Calgary Flames. It's just, I don't know. Toronto is just one of those teams that I don't care if they lose. And when they do, I kind of smile a little bit. Okay, let's look at the LA Kings and the Chicago Blackhawks. The LA Kings are a big favorite here versus Chicago. They're minus 255 on the road, and we have Chicago at plus 205. Now, remember that last game back in November when the Chicago Blackhawks rolled into LA and got the win? Oh, yeah, they did. And how did they get that win? Well, it wasn't just in overtime. They were able to get the win in a shootout. So you look at this Blackhawks team. I know how bad they are. It's plus 205 on the money line. It's not enough value for me to bet them, but the Blackhawks might give the LA Kings a little bit of trouble, at least to start this game. We got a total of 5.5, minus 128 to the over. I can't get to the over, but I could. So there's a couple things I'm going to do. The under is plus 104. And when I look at this, I don't know how many goals the Kings are going to score. Peter Mrazek in net tonight for the Chicago Blackhawks. Darcy Kemper here for the LA Kings. We know the LA Kings defensively are so elite. The LA Kings, with their defense and what they're able to do, will limit the Chicago Blackhawks tonight. So I do think the Chicago Blackhawks team total under 2.5 is the best bet when you're looking at a total. That's coming in at minus 144. But will the Kings win this in a 4-2 style game and push us over that total? Or will they win this in a 4-1 style game, right? Like, what are we going to see out of the Kings? How much defense? They've lost their last 3. They're going to be hungry to really get things going here. Their scheduling spot is really odd, though, as well, you guys. They played on Saturday, lost that game to the St. Louis Blues 4-1, only able to put up 1 goal, allowed 4 goals to St. Louis. We know St. Louis was rolling hot into that game on Saturday, but their look-ahead situation for the LA Kings is they face the Blues at home for 2 games, not just on Wednesday, but on Saturday as well. So Wednesday and Saturday, the St. Louis Blues, this game is sandwiched between those 3 games with the St. Louis Blues. So I don't know what we're going to get out of the Kings. I expect that lockdown on defense. The Kings have played well in Chicago as well, 6-2 in the last 8. I tried to look at the Kings in reg because I do think they get this win in regulation. It's too pricey. It's coming in at -155. The Kings on the puck line is just not enough value for me, but they should be able to cover that puck line, laying 1.5 at +104. I will take Kempe and Kopitar for the point. That is something I'm always doing with those Kings games. Kempe and Kopitar for a point parlay together is coming in at +118. So that is something to note. But yeah, that shootout win by the Chicago Blackhawks in LA was a 4-3 win by the Chicago Blackhawks. I don't think they're able to get 3 goals in this one or 4 goals. So give me Chicago's team total under 2.5 at -144. I do think, though, if you're looking at one player here for the Chicago Blackhawks, we're going to circle Connor Bedard. You guys, the last 3 meetings, Connor Bedard has had 0 points coming out of the break. He has been absolutely struggling now versus the Kings in his last 4 games versus the Kings. He's only been able to record an assist. Connor Bedard is looking so dejected out there on the ice, even when this team is up. He's struggling out there to be able to get something done. So he's struggling with himself. So could we see Connor Bedard come out nice and strong in this game versus the Kings tonight is my biggest question. I do think he'll get those shots on goal. The last time he faced the LA Kings, he was able to put up 3 shots on goal, but he didn't record a point or a goal in that one. So the 3+ shots on goal for Connor Bedard again tonight. Again, you guys, he's so hungry to get a point on the board, a goal on the board. 3+ shots at +142. I'm going to put a little bit of money that he breaks this streak right now that he's on of not being able to score out of that break. I think if we get 1 goal for Chicago, it will be by Connor Bedard. So give me Connor Bedard here at +230 to get that goal tonight. I really do think this is a 1 or 2 goal game for Chicago, and one of those goals is coming out of Connor Bedard. So +230 for Connor Bedard. Also, looking at his shots on goal, you guys, is a solid way to go. 3+ shots at +142. So 49 points, including 33 assists on the season, 139 overall shots on goal. So averaging right on 2.3 shots on goal per game. That is it. Those are all 6 of these games today. He needs to step up. He's been struggling so bad. You can see it all over his face. He needs to get that goal tonight. Yeah, it could be 3-2 or 3-1. And that's what I mean. You look at this, or it could be the Kings just completely destroying Chicago and putting up, 5-6 goals, because we know the Kings have every ability to do that. The one thing I just am certain with is that we're going to see that lower scoring one. Timothy rolling with maybe the overtime here. Yeah, that's an interesting look at the overtime. We know that one in November went to a shootout. So we could see that kind of battle. Now, if it's that kind of battle, I think it's a 2-2 at most style overtime matchup there. Still keeping us under the 5.5, still keeping Chicago because I don't think they'll win this one under the 2.5, but definitely will be a sweat out there. Most likely OT, but all in. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy late, but great to see you. Yeah, great to see you, John, as well. We're gonna go over all of these. We're gonna recap these games, you guys. It is that time already. 33 minutes in for these 6 games. I tell you, every show could be an hour because I just keep talking with you guys. I love talking out these games. Definitely so many angles to look into. So let's jump into that recap. Again, 6 games out there on the ice. Let's have a big one, you guys. We got OV in action as the Washington Capitals at home facing the Ottawa Senators. Now, looking at this matchup, I do think the Senators are going to struggle to score on Logan Thompson. Give me the Senators team total under 2.5 goals at -106. I think you look at OV tonight for a goal here on Linus Ullmark. I just don't trust Ullmark to keep that puck out the back of his net. Ovi at plus 110 for the goal tonight. The power play point, though, is in play for Ovi as well, plus 180. John Carlson for the power play point at plus 280. And then Tom Wilson, if you want to look at him for a point, at minus 130. I'm not betting it, but Tim Struzel has been hot for Ottawa. His point tonight is minus 170. Too juicy power play point at plus 230. Ottawa does have a strong power play, but the Caps have a really elite kill. The Capitals need to play a solid game. They need to get back on the winning track, and I do think they get it done today. The New York Islanders versus the New York Rangers. Sorokin versus Igor Shesterkin. Even though we've got strong goaltending, I'm going over the total here, you guys. The trend between these two has been over. It's because of those penalties. They come in. We see conversion on that power play. The New York Rangers are stronger on that power play, so I do think the Rangers end up getting the win. They've won the last 4 meetings at Madison Square Garden as well. So the Rangers and the over for me in this one. Looking at Zibanejad, Panarin for those points tonight for the New York Rangers. And then for the Isles, it would be Bo Horvat and Kyle Palmieri. The Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers, I want goalie props in this one at the end of the day, you guys. I'm going to take both of these goalies, no matter what number they give us, to the over. Vasilevsky and Bobrovsky are going to stand on their head. I do think both of these teams put up at least 30 shots on net tonight. The under 1.5 in the first period is my favorite bet for the total, coming in at minus 106. Overtime coming in at plus 330. When I'm rolling with an overtime bet, I'm loving, normally, especially when you got offenses like this, those goaltenders to their overs for their goalie props. So save shots on goal tonight for Vasilevsky, Bobrovsky. We'll check at the end of the show after this recap if we've got some numbers out there for them. But the overtime bet at plus 330. The Buffalo Sabres and the Montreal Canadiens, rematch of Saturday's game now in Montreal. Montreal won the last one, and I do think they have the ability to get another win here over the Buffalo Sabres, who have struggled on the road. I do think those goals come, and those goals come fast. Give me the over 1.5 in the first period, and both teams to score in the first period at plus 148. I'm going to parlay Nick Suzuki and Kyle Caulfield for a point, coming in at minus 103. Josh Anderson has been scoring versus the Sabres for Montreal, so you can look at him for the anytime goal as well. The San Jose Sharks and the Toronto Maple Leafs. I do think win or lose here, the Sharks will get 3 goals on the board. Give me the Sharks team total over 2.5 goals at plus 130. If you're wondering why, it's because of the scheduling spot here. For Toronto, off a 4-game road trip and back out on the road Wednesday to face Vegas. Terrible spot to face a team like the Sharks when we know Toronto does not get up for these lower teams in some of these matchups. Celebrini for 2+ points for the Sharks at plus 360. Tyler Toffoli for the goal, and Will Smith for the point at plus 128. Now, I do think you can look at William Nylander here for the Toronto Maple Leafs for his 2+ points. You're going to get value there. And first period over 1.5 on both teams to score in the first period at plus 158. Last but not least, the LA Kings versus the Chicago Blackhawks. You guys throw out overtime in this one. I do think this is going to be a game where Chicago stays under the team total of 2.5 goals at minus 144. I do think the best bet of this one, you guys, the more and more I think about it, well, other than Kempe and Kopitar for their point at plus 118, it's Connor Bedard. Connor Bedard needs to get back in the win column mentally for himself and not for the team. For himself, he needs to get a point tonight. I think he's able to get the goal tonight. His anytime goal coming in at plus 230. Those shots on goal will come for Connor Bedard as well. 3+ shots at plus 142. I'm going to take Bedard for the goal at plus 230. I think it's the best bet of this game other than Kempe and Kopitar. For a point parlay together, you guys know those line mates always get it done. They're coming in at plus 118. And then the under 2.5 goals for the Chicago Blackhawks. So that is the recap. Let's just quickly look if we got goalie confirmation between the Lightning and the Florida Panthers with anything coming out for those safe shots on goal. And we don't yet on FanDuel, but I do think you look at that one for both goaltenders to go over. Yeah, John, it is a really hard game between Tampa and Florida. Florida, I love what we've seen versus the Tampa Bay Lightning over the course of the last 10, but you're right. Andre Vasilevsky has been on fire. Tampa has every opportunity. That's why I love that overtime bet. Toronto makes believe the Bruins ruined my 6 game. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That is for sure. You guys, all the best in all of your bets tonight. Let's make some freaking money out there on the ice. I will have my cup of Joe out next hour. Make sure you check out the Cup of Joe as well as tune into the SportsGrid app today for some of my best bets on the ice as well as on the hardwood. So check that out with the Madden Quickie. You definitely don't want to miss out. But you guys, all the best in all your bets. We will see you back here tomorrow. Let's make some freaking money and don't let any of these teams kill us today. So we'll see you. 6 minutes.